Alright guys, I just wanted to show you, I noticed some really fine cracking recently on my kayak on the surface, and you can see it's very almost like spider cracking, and it's primarily focused around these rear rod holders, and then there's a little bit underneath the seat right here too. Now I look up underneath in the hole, the cracking doesn't go all the way through, so I sent some of these photos to Old Town, just curious about it. I suspected this is UV cracking. This is a 4-year-old kayak. This is my Old Town Salty. It spends about 120 days on the water or on my reef rack in transport or storage, and then spends the rest of the time in my garage that's air conditioned. But one of the things they asked me to do is, pull off this rod tube here. You can see the impacts of sun exposure on a kayak. So you can see here's the original color of the kayak, here's the faded color, and you can see the cracking stops immediately at that. It's just surface, but over time that's going to lead to degradation. Now I'm not surprised by this. Where I live is extremely hot. Not uncommon for us to be 20 plus days over 100 degrees in the summer, and that's when I'm fishing it. It seems like we have heat waves now that start in May and run all the way through August and September, and so I expect plastic to degrade. I don't think this is a manufacturing issue. It's just a storage and use issue, and I use my kayak a lot. But I wanted to show you guys what that looks like. So I normally treat my kayak with 303 marine protectant about 2 or 3 times a year, usually first in the spring, midway through summer, and then usually once in the fall at some point. And I think it's helped, but it obviously, with the high degree of usage, it's really going to impact the lifespan of this plastic. It's still very structurally sound, but I suspect over time, these cracks will widen, and eventually this plastic will weaken to the point that it will not be as supportive. Interestingly, that kayak there is my wife's. It sees about 5 days on the water a year, and it has none of these impacts because it's just stored indoors. So it is really just a use and exposure issue, not necessarily manufacturing. But I thought you'd be curious to know.